The Icons of Real Estate Podcast. Are you ready to learn the proven money-making secrets from top-producing icon agents? Ready to skyrocket your business? This podcast is for you. Tune in every week with your host, Tomasz Fonseca, and find out how to implement proven strategies to 10 times your business, from $3 million to $30 million in just 12 months. Brought to you by the Masters at Real Estate Marketing, Ardor SEO.
Welcome to a new mini-series about top-producing realtors. I'm so excited about our guest today. It's Greg Harrelson, who leads the top real estate company in the Myrtle Beach and surrounding Grand Strand area. His father started Century 21, the Harrelson Group, in 1999, and it is the top-selling office for years. In fact, Greg is in the top 1% of all realtors nationwide. And his professional training has led him to now be able to coach others. He now trains and coaches his own team of top agents, and this group represents some of the best, most knowledgeable real estate agents on the Grand Strand. I'm sure we're going to learn a lot from Greg today. Welcome.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, we're so excited to have you here too. So I'm going to start with an easy question, but it's going to be a fun and interesting one for anybody who's listening.
All right, let's go.
Easy for you, because we just want to learn a little bit about your real estate journey. I know we mentioned that your father was in real estate, but how did you get started, and how did you get from that point of a beginner, I read, just out of college, to doing it for 20 years to where you are now?
Yeah, I tell you, I was very fortunate the path that I've been on. But yes, I was in college and I wasn't doing so well in college. I was failing out of college. Let's just be transparent, right? Yeah, no reason to candy coat that. I'm actually kind of more proud of it than I am ashamed of it, because it really led me to joining my father, in what he was already doing, which was selling real estate. And I joined him as just kind of like a part-time assistant. And I really started prospecting, generating listing opportunities for my father. This is years and years ago. And for some reason, I did okay with it, meaning I was pretty good on the phone. I was giving him listing opportunities. His listing inventory was growing. His business was growing. And then a light bulb went off and it's like, okay, this seems to be like, this is what I'll do, right? Because you're going from failing out of college over 5 years and not really getting anywhere to like, okay, am I going to go work at a restaurant? What am I going to do? And then I realized, wait, maybe I have a talent here and I can further this real estate career. And the rest is history, and a lot of people around the industry who do know me know that I've been a lead generator for many, many years. But it's important to understand, like, that's the first task or activity that I did in the real estate industry, and I never stopped.
Wow, that is a great story, because I think so many young people, they get this idea that they're not smart or they're not good because maybe the formal schooling that is not what they're interested in is their thing. But look at the talent that you have once you find something that you love.
Yeah, and that's very important. It's I don't know that I was good at it or not good at it. I don't know that was the reason why I grew a good business. I think it's just something that I felt I was good at. I felt comfortable with it. I enjoyed the business, and from that point, I then dedicated the time to learn what I needed to learn. But it started with, hey, gosh, I really enjoy this. And then I committed everything I didn't turn my attention to in college, which was focus on learning. When I got into real estate, I took all of that focus and I focused on learning real estate.
Wow. Yeah. Well, good for you, because look at the success you've had.
Thank you.
So the next question I wanted to ask you was about how you thrive in a changing market. I mean, we're certainly in a changing market right now. It's a big changes. The interest rates are going up. It may not continue to be such a seller's market. You know better than me, but how do you stay a great agent and do well as the market changes so drastically?
So, perfect question. The timing of the question, I think, is very relevant, right? Yeah. So thank you for asking. The answer is simple. The only thing that changes when the only thing that the agent must change when a market changes is they must change the conversations that they're having with the consumer. That's it. It's that simple. It's like, so like somebody who has good habits, like they show up in the morning and they focus on lead generation. In a good market, if you show up and you focus on lead generation for a few hours every day, and then you focus on going to your appointments and servicing your clients, and then tomorrow you focus on and start your day lead generating for a few hours a day, and then you do the same thing in the afternoon, like that is the routine, no matter what the market's doing. It's the routine doesn't change, the conversations change. So instead of me walking into a seller today and saying, oh, what price would you like? You like 400,000? Oh gosh, I can probably get you 450. That conversation doesn't work in the changing market.
Right.
That conversation worked yesterday. It's not going to work tomorrow. So it's the dialogue that we're having that changes. Nothing else changes. So while everyone's worried, the people who are worried about a shifting market are the people that have bad habits. That they don't have. The ones that are worried are the ones that don't have a good routine. The ones that are like excited about a shift, they already have the routine. All they're doing is changing the dialogue.
Yeah, well, that is a great answer. Of course, you have to know how to change the dialogue. And I guess that's where your years of experience come in, and knowing, should the buyer wait to buy, or should the seller wait another year? What would be best for them? And I imagine that's very individualized.
It could be different for everybody, but in the end of the day, I mean, it's just a series of objections or questions that consumer has. Like right now, people are going to say, well, I think we should price it higher because, or not right now, 6 months ago, I think we should price it higher because like there's no inventory. Well, that's just not necessarily the conversation that a seller's having with us right now. The seller's sitting here asking us this question: what do you think is going to happen to the market? They didn't ask us that 3 months ago.
Right.
They're asking us that now. So if you're on the ground level having multiple conversations every day, it won't take you 1 week after talking to multiple people to figure out how their questions and concerns have changed.
Right.
So the consumer tells you what conversations they want to have. We just have to be listening to the shift in the consumer's conversations and then adapt to that.
That makes perfect sense. Right. So you still do have to be very, very consistent and just keep up on what's going on.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And if you're lead generating every day, you always know what's going on because you're talking to the consumer.
Right. So you talk about that lead generating. How do you get your leads? I'm sure you get them in abundance of ways, but what are the main things that you do to pursue your leads?
Yeah, and the term lead generation is totally different than the term prospecting, right? So if we're talking about prospecting is a form of lead generation. Direct mail is also a form of lead generation. SEO could be a form of lead generation, if you're doing it correctly and having them, and capturing them for online leads. So lead generation is really based on committing a certain amount of hours each day to generate opportunities for yourself, whether they be buyers or sellers, depending on what the individual agent is focused on. So if we talk about like me in the early stages, lead generation strategies would have been expireds, old expireds, circle prospecting, for sale by owners, rent bows. These are all people that we know have thought about selling. Like there's no guesswork. A for sale by owner, it's obvious they want to sell or they wouldn't have it for sale by owner. That would be a person that you could talk to, and that would be a form of lead generation. So whoever you're comfortable in the area of lead generation or calling or working, you just make sure that you commit a few hours every day to work that source or work multiple sources.
Right, right. And there's only so many hours in the day. Do you have a team that helps you with this?
No, I mean this should be. I mean, I don't, but some people do, and that's perfectly fine. That's really dependent on how what kind of business model they're trying to build for themselves. But the majority of the people that I'm working right now is over my years of doing what I'm describing. I've built very large databases, and I've built some good authority in the eyes of that and ears of that database. So the majority of people call me at this point. So I'm not
Yes.
having to make outbound because I'm fielding the inbound calls, come list me calls. Hey, Greg, thinking about selling. You've been following up with me for many years. We're finally thinking about it. Can you come over and list my home? That's typically what I'm working right now because I've really put in the groundwork in my earlier years to build that database.
Of course, that makes sense. You're trusted. Many people trust you and they tell their
That's right.
friends and they tell their family, and so they're seeking you out. So
Correct.
that's a fabulous place to be in.
Yes, it takes hard work to get there. It
I
doesn't.
imagine.
You don't just arrive there. I mean, you put yourself in that position.
Right, it's a journey for sure.
Mhm.
So, in your little resume that I read, and I learned that you really studied with some top coaches, and now you coach others. And I
Yeah.
wanted maybe you to talk a little bit about how important it is to work with a coach and why you're passing it on.
Yeah. Well, so I've always had a passion for, people ask me, Greg, well, what do you really do? And what I answer in a lot of cases is I say, I develop talent. It's what I like to do. I like to develop talent. And so what I mean is like, in my office, if you were to look at in the MLS and you look at the top, say 10 or 11 real estate agents, probably 4 of the top agents are in my office right now. And they never had a license when I first met them. In other words, they got a license. I brought them in, I taught them what to do. And now they're in the top of the entire MLS, right? Or top in the state or top with Century 21. So that to me is fun, is to be able to coach an agent, develop them, help them build a career based on their own goals, and just kind of see them get to that level. That to me is like a sport. I like to play tennis. I like to develop talent. And I don't know which one I like more, but both of them are sports that I love to play. And I was fortunate that for probably 20 years straight, I went 20 years straight and never at any point in 20 straight years did I not have a coach. And I don't really have a coach today. I have a small little two men besides myself have a little mastermind that we do. And so, but we're all at a certain level and we're masterminding and brainstorming together. That's kind of what I use as coaching. But I followed a coach for 20 straight years. And now I am coaching agents as well as the other things that I do. I don't do one-on-one coaching. So if anybody, message me and says, will you do one-on-one coaching? No, I won't do that. We do have some group coaching is what I do though.
Well, that's so cool. And I'm a tennis player too, or at least
All
I
right.
used to be. So
Awesome.
to compare those two is pretty fascinating. So you can see the improvement in your tennis game, although I must say I peaked, not getting any better. But then you can also compare that to helping people to be the best that they can be in this business. Yeah. So that brings me to the point of you're developing talent and you're choosing people, or they're choosing you and you're deciding whether it's a match. What do you look for in somebody that you want to train to be one of your agents?
Yeah. Okay. So there's 3 things that I focus on. Number 1 is desire. If I'm looking at hiring an agent, and let's just assume for a minute they're newer, they don't have a lot of skill sets, or at least skill sets relative to what they'll be doing in real estate, then I'm asking myself, do they seem to be somebody that has a desire to succeed, desire to win? Do they have a desire? Do they want to get somewhere? Or are they just trying to make ends meet? And nothing wrong with somebody that needs to make ends meet. It's just, do they have a burning desire to grow something? Because they're going to probably do very well because I'm going to have that desire. Okay, so they need to match that. And it's hard to coach desire. They have to bring that to the relationship. So the second thing that I'm looking at is, will they follow a system? Will they have the discipline that says, okay, here's the process. Will you follow the process? Now, a lot of people don't want to follow a process. They want to just wing it. They want to just show up when they want to show up and do what they want to do whenever they want to do it. And if they don't want to do it, they don't do it. That's not going to work too well if we're talking about building a bigger business. You might make a few sales here and there. But if you want to do 50, 60, 70, 100 deals, you're going to have to treat this like a business. So will they actually follow a system? And then the last one is, are they coachable? It's okay that you ask your coach why, but you're asking to understand, not to question the coach. There's a
Oh,
big difference. There's a
yeah.
big
Say that
difference.
again. That's really
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah.
It's okay that you ask your coach why, but you must be asking why with the intention of understanding at a deeper level,
Mm-hmm.
not with the intention of questioning what they told you. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
really looking for somebody that's going to be coachable, because I do, have a track record for building top talent. And so I feel like I can give them good information, but if they're constantly questioning and doubting what I'm saying, then I've got to put too much time and energy on convincing them to trust me. We need to come in on day one and you're on the team, you're the player, I'm your coach, and then let's just go to work.
Wow. And you didn't hesitate at all with that question. You have put some thought into this.
Oh, I
Those three.
promise you that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why you asked me that question, but I had the answer.
You had the answer just right there. That's for
Yes.
sure. So you are so very, very successful, but we all have goals as we move forward. What is yours with your business as you go into the next year?
Yeah. So what I'm focusing on is, really what I'm focusing on is market share in South and North Carolina. So right now I'm in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, but I also have offices in Charleston, South Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina, and just within the last month, we opened office in Wilmington, North Carolina. So and there's others in the works. So what I'm focusing on is not how do I grow in Myrtle Beach, which I am focusing on that, but the bigger game that a lot of people don't understand is I'm really looking at the Carolinas, not just one Myrtle Beach local market. So that's the game that I'm playing, is acquiring companies, building companies, developing talent across the Carolinas. That's what my real focal point is.
Well, Greg, you think very big, don't you?
Well, there's a lot of people I'm around that think much bigger than that, but I guess it's all relative.
Yeah, because there's nothing wrong with realtor, but last week they had the idea they wanted to focus one little area, and that was what they thought was very, very important. So yours is just a very opposite approach, and both of you are so very successful.
Yeah, there's no right answer. It's like chocolate and vanilla. I like chocolate,
Right.
somebody else likes vanilla. They're both wonderful ice creams.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I've actually never been to Myrtle Beach. My husband used to do some business there, and I know it's touristy and it's
Yes.
beachy, but can you kind of describe the Strand area that we're mentioning today? Because I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, the Myrtle Beach real estate market makes up of a tremendous amount of condos, as well as residential homes, but we got a lot of there's probably over I know there is over 1,000 condo buildings. Now that would be a mix of oceanfront, golf course, and anywhere in between. There's quite a bit of condos in our market, more condos probably than, or maybe equal condos to residential homes. And then a lot of the residential, the attraction of Myrtle Beach obviously is tourism, but there's a huge positive migration to Myrtle Beach of retirees. So, a lot of retirees do also go to Florida, but most of the Myrtle Beach market comes from the Northeast. And if you're a retiree and you move to Myrtle Beach, you can get back to, say, New Jersey in one day. It's a long day, but you can get there in one day. If you go all the way to, say, Orlando, that's a 2-day trip. So what we do is we get a lot of what we call halfbacks, retirees that go from New York to Florida, and then they realize that's too much travel. So then they come halfway back, which happens to be Myrtle Beach.
Oh, that is great. Well, I definitely want to get there and see the area sometime this year. It just sounds amazing. So you've really taught us so much today and given such great advice. I can't thank you enough. Just the way you are so passionate about coaching others and helping them, what you look for. If somebody's listening, whether they're a buyer or they're a seller, or they want to put together a group and have you coach them, how would they get a hold of you?
You know what I tell most people right now is, if you just Facebook is a perfect place. Just direct message me on Facebook. I actually do respond to the messages, but it's one of the easiest ways to kind of, track me down. That's what I would suggest.
Okay. And is there a website? I know you have so many websites.
Yeah.
Is there one main one that
Greg,
you would?
Greg Harrelson at gregharrelson.com. That would be my consumer facing website. And then from a coaching standpoint for real estate agents out there, to get a lot of free content, free coaching, then check out realestatesalessolutions.com.
Well, that is so kind of you to share that, because there'll be a lot of people going and looking at that, I'm sure.
I hope so. I hope so. I hope they get a
Yeah.
lot of value from it.
I think they will. And
Yeah.
thank you so much for taking the time to be the focus of our attention on this amazing Realtor mini-series that we're putting together.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And I know that this makes a difference to a lot of real estate agents.
Absolutely will. Thank you, Greg. Great to have you on.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
Bye.